think we're live. We'll wait just a minute, let people get in here. Put up the chat and the Q&A. If you're here, do me a favor, just say a quick hello in the chat, so I know that it's just not me and Bobby talking to each other, which is fun, but not what we're here for right now. I see people. Okay. I expect we have a lot of folks, Bobby, who have signed up already and are part of the program. And then we have what I imagine to be some folks who are thinking about it and came to us for a little bit more detail. So we'll sort of gear towards both, talk a little hoops, but we'll give everyone a few minutes or so to sort of wander in. I'll just say that in the chat, actually, here we are. Hey, everyone. Cool. In the chat, we will mostly ignore you. No offense. It's just too logistically challenging. So what I would recommend is if you have a question for Bobby and for me, put it into the Q&A, and we will either answer that by typing or by talking. So chat away with each other. You can even ask a question. We're probably going to miss it. But if you really have something that needs to be answered, Q&A. Give everyone another minute or two. You enjoying the finals, Bobby?
I am. You know, it's I didn't think I'd see Oklahoma City wear down like we did last night. But we certainly did, I would say.
Well, if you're in the SBC Discord and you're in the Hoops Talk channel, you'll know that I'm 3-0 so far in picking winners of finals games, one by one. So I feel really good. I had Indy winning the first one, OKC, and then I was iffy on the last one, and I think it was Chris Lee came in and said, I got OKC. And so I said, you know what? All right, I'll go the other way. And so I took Indy. But I had it tied up 2-2. That was really the heart of it. I just figured 2-2. There he is. Christopher Lee. 2-2 to me, like, it just felt like, I know that there were some people who, oh yeah, this is the Thunder are gonna just dominate this, but I thought it'd be a close series, and I'm happy it is so far. All right. So I guess let's kind of get rolling here. I'm Eric Pincus with Bobby Marks. I'm with Bleacher Report and, of course, Sports Business Classroom, and Bobby's with ESPN. And we are here to talk about our Business of Basketball Immersive Experience, which is this summer in Las Vegas, July 13th through 19th, a little bit longer, depending on what tier you sign up for. But we just want to sort of give a little bit for the students who are here, who have already signed up, a little bit of a preview of a little bit, talk about the schedule, or at least the tentative schedule. And for those who are considering joining, to learn about us a little bit more, maybe help you make that decision. So Bobby, you have any initial thoughts, introductory thoughts?
Yeah, listen, for everyone who's new and joining us in Las Vegas in a month, I welcome. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. It's going to be like it was last year, a great week. For anyone who is interested in joining us, the goal over the next 45 minutes to an hour is basically certainly to roll out what the program would look like, and the curriculum, and some of the speakers that we have, and to answer any questions that you have. And certainly we're going to talk a little bit of basketball to kick this thing off, as far as where the league is right now, with the draft about 2 weeks away. And then free agency tech quasi starting right after the finals are over, for teams that are the ability to negotiate with your own free agents, as far as free agents and extensions here, and then talk about the two teams that are in the NBA finals, as far as how they've gone about building their rosters and everything. So I'm looking forward to the next 45 minutes to an hour spending with everyone here. And we're ready to go. And if you have a question, put it in the Q&A. Don't put it in the chat.
All right, let's roll the next slide, Jackson. So yeah, they just talk a little bit of hoops. In general, where are we? You mentioned the draft. You mentioned free agency. Like, what happens this time of year, like in a front office, and what is happening this particular summer?
Yeah, so teams are still in the process of bringing draft prospects in for their workouts. We're kind of in that wind down stage. I would say there's another 10 days left as far as who they bring in. You can only bring in or have on the court at one time 6 prospects here. There are teams that differ. If you are San Antonio, who's at 214 and I think 38, your prospects that you're bringing in is probably a little bit different than a team like Denver, who doesn't have a draft pick here. So you're bringing them in, you're doing your workouts, you're doing you've already done most of your background, your medical, your psych, your interviews, you're taking players out to dinner, you're formulating what your board is going to look like. And that kind of gives you the optionality as far as do we like where we are? Are there options to move back in the draft? Are there options to pick up additional draft assets? All that goes into, certainly the next 2 weeks and what's happened over the course of the last few months. That goes into when you go into the night of the draft and you see a team maybe moving back from hypothetically 3 to 5, and you can pick out a future pick or maybe another pick later in the round. I will say this, just from the initial look at this, of course, Cooper Flagg at number 1. I mean, we're not naive to that situation here. Certainly, Dylan Harper, the likely player at number 2 if San Antonio stays at 2. And then after that, Eric, it's really wide open as far as from a draft perspective. It's kind of like going to the ice cream parlor and what do you like? You like vanilla, you like chocolate, you like strawberry, like the different ice creams you like. It's pretty guard heavy in the early part of it, in the lottery portion of it. And that's kind of what teams are doing as far as from their due diligence. And then we've got your own roster, which is of course you're focusing on the Kevin Durant trade speculation will dominate the news, I would say, over the next couple weeks here, leading up until the start of free agency here. Shams reported that they met with his agent, Rich Kleiman, and Kevin, and kind of there's a list of teams that have shown interest. I would say that although he's going into the last year of his contract, I think teams would trade for Kevin Durant, even if they're not a guarantee that he's going to sign an extension with him. We call that pre-free agency, similar to what Pascal Siakam went through when he was traded to Indiana, where there was no guarantee that he would resign. And basically the 6 months with the Pacers sold him on that here. So that is definitely going to be a storyline to follow over the next few weeks. Giannis, I'm a little probably more apprehensive as far as where we go with Giannis. I think if you're in Milwaukee, you're building your roster. When you have a top 3 player on your roster, you're building your goal is to build around him and use free agency to go out and do that here with with their some flexibility, non-taxman level exception here. Challenge, of course, is the Lillard injury. I keep on coming back to that injury, which is certainly a challenge. And so that's kind of the scuttlebutt as far as where we are draft wise. I think it's going to be a really exciting draft. I think there's going to be a bunch of movement. I think certainly when you have teams like Brooklyn, who has 4 picks, and Oklahoma City's interesting at 15 and 24, just because of where their roster is. They've got 15 players under contract. 2 are team options with AJ Mitchell and Jalen J.A.Y. Williams. So I think could be a lot of movement. I think there's a lot of teams that who would like to get in the first round that don't have a pick right now.
Yeah. The honest thing, I have a lot of people say, to me, fans or readers or friends, like, why wouldn't he ask for a trade? They're not going to win this next year because Dame is hurt. But I think it's probably safe to say that the Bucks will max him out until he's 40 or older. Like he's, like he could drop off, but he's like their LeBron or whatever, their Kobe. Like he's just gonna get paid forever. And he lives there. If he's happy, he's comfortable, they're not going to move him. But if Giannis decides, I don't want to be there, that's a different story. And now we open up that can of worms. It hasn't happened yet. If it had, it would be out there. His agent would be using similar to what Dame did to get out of Portland. He would be using his power as an agent through the media, through pressure, to try to get him relocated. And so it's something that everyone in the NBA has been sort of waiting and waiting and waiting. And if it doesn't come, at some point you move on because you got to do the draft. You got to do free agency. You're not going to wait and not build your team just because there's a chance that Giannis might be traded. I will say that like some of the teams that might go after KD, like Houston, San Antonio, could maybe hold on to their pieces for a Giannis deal later and may not go all in on a KD if they have a feeling like there's a Giannis move later. Those are the kind of choices that they're going to have to make, and we'll have to wait and see how that happens. But yeah, let's go on, Jackson, the next slide, and start talking a little bit about the program. So we are in Las Vegas 13th through the 19th, and you're learning from the best minds in basketball. Not just Bobby and I think we're pretty decent, but we have a really wonderful group. You can go to www.sportsbusinessclassroom.com. Space is limited. We don't have a lot of spots left. I expect within the next week or so, we'll probably fill up. We always fill up every year. And we had a wait list last year. And to be honest, we're already at that point. We expanded to, I think it was 135 last year. And we actually had to look at floor plans of the various rooms inside the Thomas and Mack Arena, the rooms that we have, to make sure that we could fit 135. And we can, and it was really comfortable. But just be aware that space is limited, and it's a really wonderful program. Let's talk about the next slide, please. Let's talk, before we get deeper into our program, let's just talk about the finals a bit, and not necessarily, how great the games have been. It's been a lot of fun. Certainly more if you're a Pacers fan today. If you're a Thunder fan, maybe after Game 4, we'll see. Maybe you'll be happy it's tied 2-2. But how did they get here? And I don't think it's typical how these teams got here. Bobby, can you kind of give us a little background on how these two ended up in the finals?
Yeah, listen, I think with Oklahoma, both teams, although both have drafted extremely well, really trades have set them up as far as where they are right now. I think Oklahoma City, we can trace back to the trade that sent Paul George to the Clippers that brought back Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a bevy of draft picks that they were able to get with that. It was kind of, that when we go back to 2019, it wasn't, everyone forgets that Kawhi Leonard was somewhat part of that pack. It wasn't a trade, but to get Paul, they had to give up that amount, and that clinched Kawhi signing with the Clippers right now. So certainly the Shai trade was the huge building block as far as what they've been able to do. And then from there, it's really, they have been building through the draft. When you look at Jalen Williams, when you look at Chet Holmgren, when you look at Cason Wallace, Lou Dort was undrafted. They've made Aaron Wiggins was a second-round pick. They've made a lot of shrewd trades where they've picked up additional draft assets during those lean years when that team was in the bottom of the standings here. And what the draft assets, the future draft assets have done is that it's given the Thunder protection when potentially some of these high costs are going to happen here. When you look at Shai, who's extension eligible this summer for Supermax, Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren also, their biggest, and I would say probably one of the bigger transactions of the NBA last year was getting Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. It's okay in this league to hit singles and doubles. It doesn't have to be going out in one of these whopper trades. But getting Caruso in last June was certainly a catalyst here. But you look at, as far as, they're still growing, although they are in the NBA finals, as far as how Isaiah Hartenstein last year. There's still more to come with this team, because when you look at the 2 picks coming up in June and everything else that is coming potentially for first-round picks in 2026, the roster is not going to be at like a dead end, right? We're not going to be like, okay, they're basically stuck right now. And so that's kind of a little bit on Oklahoma City. They know who they are. There's a reason why we never link them to Kevin Durant or Giannis or one of these big named players, although they always have the draft equity and players to go out and make a big splash, because they're more content building within. They rarely go out in free agency, although Isaiah was signed last year. But they rarely go out and make these whopper of a trades to bring in somebody that maybe hasn't been grown through the system, or maybe doesn't fit in the locker room, or maybe is just for a 1 year rental here?
Yeah, I mean, the Thunder are pretty ridiculous.
I would say that if you're trying to copy what they're doing, like, we work in a copycat league and we see a lot of trends. I think if you're going to try to do that, I think you're going to be probably extremely disappointed here. It's a rarity as far as how they've been able to go about building their roster.
Right. Well, sure. I mean, trade for an MVP when they're like in their second year or whatever it is, when they haven't established themselves yet. Yeah, just do that, which is like impossible because it's really hard to even like a Luca or guys who are MVPs, it's almost impossible to get. And when they're young, most guys don't develop like Shea develops. So, I get it from the Clippers side. It'll probably go down if OKC wins the title this year. Maybe one of the worst trades of all time if it hasn't already gone as one of those. But on the Pacers side, they made a similar trade, getting Tyrese Halliburton, traded Domantas Sabonis and other parts, and that was really the catalyst here. But what's unique about this particular year that a lot of people are focusing on is that neither of these teams are the massive high spender, luxury tax, apron teams. They have lower budgets. They are cost conscious. The Pacers historically refuse to pay the luxury tax, and they refuse to tank, and yet they perform at the same level, if not better, than a lot of teams that pay at that high level. But that's unique to who they are as a franchise, and I don't want anyone to just, oh, well, this is the new way of the NBA. It might be, but we just have 1 year of data. Last year, the Celtics won. They were one of the highest, most expensive teams last year. So it's not necessarily indicative of the way it is. It's more, this is the way it is today, and it just so happens to be these teams. And the Pacers don't get here without quite a few miracle shots from Tyrese Halliburton. So I don't think we have a pattern yet, just one data point. So we'll have to wait and see if this is how teams try to, as you said, copycat league, Bobby, and we'll see if teams try to copy this. But it is so hard to duplicate getting a Halliburton the way they got Halliburton, or a Shea the way that OKC got it. Shea. So let's go on, Jackson. Let's go to the next slide and dig into our program a little bit more. So this is actually SBC, Sports Business Classroom, is a subset of something greater and bigger in Las Vegas, which is the Summer League, which runs the 10th through the 20th. And we have 30, all of the NBA teams are there. Each team plays 5 games minimum. And you get the first look at draft picks like Cooper Flagg, or last year, Bronny James, or Dylan Harper, all Ace Bailey, all the young players get a chance to show off what they do. And you're getting if you're there, especially in our program, you're getting a great look at them, maybe from better seats than you would get necessarily if you went to the Dallas Mavericks and wanted to see Cooper Flagg and pay those kind of prices to see Cooper Flagg or whatever. And our experience is within that period of time. So we are the 13th through the 19th. We have an immersive program with various sessions throughout the day. We'll go over those in a bit. We have speakers. We have Hall of Fame instructors, literally, and we have 4 different majors. The majors range from scouting, video, and analytics, which I like to think is the why of basketball operations. Why are you playing the way that you're playing? Why do you value a player, a strategy? Why are you drafting this way? And the complementary major to that is salary cap, which is, of course, what Bobby and I are a big part of. And salary cap is more of the how of basketball operations. How are we going to build that team using the tools that we have with whatever team we have, all the complicated rules, and they go hand in hand, but they're a different part of the game. And then for those who want to get into the NBA world or the basketball world, or even just the sports world in general, through the media or broadcast, we have our media and broadcast major, which is technically it's our smallest major, and that's really designed that way because we need to be more hands-on, and we need to build the product is really the student, right? Like if you're in front of a camera and you're building a brand, that is you. And so we keep it smaller. It's a wonderful major with literally that's where our Hall of Famers are. And I'm really excited about it. And then we have our newest major, which is athlete representation, which is for those who want to get into the agent business, want to represent players, not just in the NBA. You have to consider NIL. You have to consider FIBA, the G League, all of the different aspects, and then endorsements and everything that goes into being an agent. We have a focus also on relationship building and networking, and it's an all-inclusive experience, meaning that we provide you a hotel, we provide you some meals throughout, and take care of you throughout, so transportation and whatnot. Your job is to get yourself to Las Vegas. That's on you. We'll put you up, take care of you for the time, and really, this is the center of the NBA, of the basketball industry, beyond the NBA. Everybody in the industry is here for this period of time, and we're right in the heart of it, and we give our students access like none other. So that is the Sports Business Classroom, Business of Basketball Immersive Experience within NBA Summer League in Las Vegas. Let's give an example of some of these instructors. Jackson, let's go to the next slide. All right. I'll continue on with our 2025 Hall of Fame and All-Star instructors. I guess, Bobby, we're all-stars. I'll take it. Not quite in the Hall of Fame. You have Bobby and myself. On the media and broadcast track, we have Jay Adande in the Hall of Fame, Howard Beck, Mike Fratello, Hall of Fame coach. And an addition that I'm really excited about is Julie Fye of, is it Fee or Fye? I'm saying that one.
I think it's Fye.
Yeah. Formerly with the Phoenix Suns, she did PR for a long period of time. They ran their PR, which is an area that a lot of our students come into the NBA through the PR side. And so we're going to get a new perspective there. And then in our, we also have Katie Heindel and CP the franchise in that same track of media and broadcast. Katie's an incredible writer. And CP created Knicks Fan TV, a great example of how you build your own brand from scratch and become a personality in this industry through the media and broadcast side. And then scouting, video, and analytics. I'm going to jump around a little bit. We have Steven Alves, works with the Pelicans, and really brilliant. And Seth Partnow, who wrote the book on analytics, been with us for a long period of time, formerly with the Milwaukee Bucks. He is in scouting, video, and analytics. He's really our focus on analytics. We have Steve Jones Jr. and Nikias Duncan, who together are the Dunker Spot, a podcast. Steve Jones, formerly scouted for teams, and Nikias is somebody who's similar to CP, has built up his brand through the media. And then rounding out our scouting, video, analytics instructors is Connor Wolf, who 2 years ago was a student, last year was part of our support staff, and he's just so good at what he does and so smart and really capable that he is a full-fledged instructor. And then also on our salary cap track with Bobby and myself is Yossi Goslin, formerly of Hoops Hype, has the Third Apron on Substack, and then Keith Smith with Spotrack and the NBA Front Office Show. So from the four of us, you're getting tremendous knowledge and experience in this space. Both also have experience on the media and broadcast side. And then finally, I want to include Jeff Fellenzer, who is from USC. He's been there with us since the beginning, and he's a professor, and his focus is really on jobs, resumes, and helping students prepare their packages, and really generous with his time. We'll meet with any student who wants to go over their resume, and really helps, like I said, networking and trying to help people not just learn the material, which is fantastic, but you also have to package and present yourself to get a job. And you could have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know how to do that, you're at a disadvantage. So that kind of rounds out all of our crew. We have more and a whole long list of guest speakers that mostly we'll announce on social media as they come up, but some of them will be surprises. So anything I left out, Bobby, with our staff?
No, it's as you just mentioned, a lot of people that aren't on this graphic here are people that either we have lined up to speak, and we're going to go over the schedule in a minute. There are a lot of people that will pop in that aren't listed. That's the beauty of being in Summer League, that we have pop-ins every day. As far as, last year we were doing our salary cap deep dive, and Jeff Peterson from the Hornets dropped in and spoke to the group. Two people that we're going to utilize this year, like we did last year, that aren't on here is Tommy Shepard, the former Wizards GM, and Ryan McDonough, who's the former Suns GM, who will come in and help in all aspects, whatever we need, and provide support, which is always terrific. Both have been around for a long time here, but the goal is to give everyone as much experience, networking, learning, if this is what you want to be, from the best of the best. Like the best, like our goal when Eric and I put the staff together is to put the best people at their field and to show how they've built their network or how they've built their brand. And it's the goal is to give you the tools to go out and do that.
Yeah, I would also say that we have people who really like to talk to people. Everyone is accessible. These are all people. If you want to learn how to do play-by-play, you're going to learn from Mike Fratello, the czar, who's been doing this for decades and is brilliant at it. But there are people who are willing to. You're just not sitting in a room listening to people talk about how they learning how Bobby and I got into the industry 20 plus years ago is interesting maybe for a few minutes, but if that's all you're getting for a week, I don't think that really helps you. So it's more interactive than that. Now, this schedule, I don't know if we could put a link in the chat to an external link or not, Jackson. I don't know if that's doable because it is a little hard to see. For those who are in the program already and are in our Discord, I put it in the announcement section, so you can download this to see if you want to read it. This is more for Bobby and I to just sort of show a glimpse of what we have in store. And if you're colorblind, please reach out privately and we can walk through it in a different way. But we have different colors. We have blue, we have red, purple, and yellow. A little bit of gray. Gray are more just like technical things. But the blue, we have our opening night ceremony on Sunday. And these represent our general sessions where everybody, the entire student body, is there learning together. And so we have a welcome reception. We have something we call Game On with Steve Schembaum, who likes to just loosen people up, interact with students and sort of get the ball rolling so we get to know each other a little bit. And that's a lot of fun on opening night. And then we start bright and early, right off the bat, Monday. And so, if you don't expect to sleep a ton in this. This is a work trip. It's a blast. It's fun, but it is a work trip. We really start at 8 a.m. Bobby's going to do office hours at 7 a.m. for those who want to join him. That's always a popular thing. And then we mostly jump in throughout the day. I'll talk about the yellow in a moment. With our blue sessions on the first 3 days. And in the middle, we have these red ones, which is when we're bringing in these speakers. And I'll let Bobby talk a little bit in a bit on some of what we have in store. And so those are people in the MBA world who are going to talk to the entire group. Then we have our purples, which are our deep dives. And those are when we're breaking into our individual majors. And so we're doing that on each day, except for the final day, which is presentations. We'll talk about that in a bit. And so that's where the SVA majors are meeting, the media broadcast. For athlete representation, you will have a minor either in salary cap or in scouting video and analytics. And so you will actually be with those majors for those deep dives. And then we have this extra one towards the bottom on the Monday. And the longer deep dives, those are specifically for either media broadcast because their time is spent either on the set. We have a set on the pavilion at the arena. We're actually on set doing in front of camera work, or maybe you're doing play-by-play down near the court or doing the scrums and talking to players after. We have a whole, or maybe you're in the room learning to write and learning from Howard Beck and Jay Adonde and Katie and whatnot, how to be a better writer. Those are spread out over a longer period of time. And our athlete representation have special deep dives. So they also have a little bit of extra time later in the days. And then finally, we'll talk about our yellow section, which is our practicum, which is leading up to our mock trade deadline. So in that very first day, everyone's going to be assigned teams. I'll probably assign them beforehand. And so if you're an agent, you'll be assigned players, or rather we'll do a draft for players later. And if you're in scouting video analytics, or if you're in salary cap, you'll be assigned a team. And at this point, your job is now to represent that team. So throughout the week, you're preparing what you want to do with that team. And on that Wednesday, you're going to need to present in a midterm what you have in mind. And we're going to lay into you if we feel like you haven't thought it through. We're going to be honest, but not hurtful. At least that's not the intent. The intent is to make sure that you fail the midterm so that you succeed and thrive in the final. And then our big mock trade deadline is that morning of Friday, that yellow block, which is chaotic. We have our media and broadcast folks covering it as sideline reporters. Later in the day, they'll bring some of the spokesmen for the teams, or the spokespeople for the teams, to the set to grill them there. Imagine if you're Nico Harrison and you just traded Luka, they're gonna pull you up on the set and they're gonna grill you. Why did you do this? And you're gonna have to answer for your, I was gonna say crimes, but if maybe he's right. Maybe the Luka trade was the best thing the Dallas Mavericks ever did. We'll debate that over the course of the week. And then finally on Saturday, you will present in front of the group and show what you did, put it in a slideshow perhaps, and sell us on why you made these trades. And we will vote for the best trades, best presentation. Our agents will also present. We'll give them awards for best agency, because they get broken up into little groups, and best contract, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a lot of fun. It's all spread out through the week. It's a lot of work. There's times in the black where you will be at the arena and be able to participate, watch games, sit in the crowd and take a look. But the rest of the time you'll be with us and working and having a blast. So Bobby, give us a sense of what you have in mind for some of our speakers in those lunch sessions.
Yeah, so every day there'll be a speaker during the lunch session, which is in the red. For example, on the first day, which is Monday, is Kirk Berger from the Players Association. We try to theme each day based on, we try not to duplicate every day based on, if, we're not going to have like 4 people from the Players Association speak every Monday through Thursday here. But we have Kirk Berger coming in. We've got Sharif Abdul Rahim, who's the president of the G League. G League is a component that certainly we're going to emphasize this year, because a lot of people who are trying to break into the NBA is going to come through the G League world. We've got Adam Simon and Eric Amsler from the Heat coming in to speak. We've got what else we have? We've got head coaches, we've got general managers, we have one-on-one sessions, which is an important thing. Everybody who is in the program will get a one-on-one session with a team executive or a scout or a head coach. Last year, we had Mike Zarin come in on that final day. Every day, we'll have a coach speak, hopefully referee operations here. But every day, there'll be a speaker that will come in and talk about as far as their journey and as far as where they've come through. As Eric said, the blues are our general sessions. That is where everyone is going to be involved. We have some new things that we're introducing is the WNBA. I think it's something neat and something that I've kind of taken interest into lately, especially with a new collective bargaining agreement coming up soon. How does the WNBA CBA work? How do the rules work? It's a little bit different than where the NBA is. And we have people coming from the Player Association, WNBA, that will present. We have NIL, which is certainly a big thing right now. And college GM Rachel Baker from Duke is going to be there. Wes Wilcox from the Jazz, from University of Utah, is going to be there. As I said, we have a G League component here. The best for me is, certainly we love the blue sessions, but the deep dives are the best. And I think that is really like where we can kind of dive down into each of your major. So when you're looking at how do extensions work and how do the apron work and the rules of the CBA, that is really where we're bringing you into a room, and it's a more intimate atmosphere, and it's we do a lot of certainly a lot of Q&A, and it's the goal is not just to be up there speaking. The goal is for people to be interactive with it. As I said, it's a 7 days or 8 days of teaching. I remember just last year, it's like you almost need to go to like camp beforehand to get yourself like up to your conditioning up for this week. because I know for myself, I was exhausted by the end of the week. And it's something though, but it's something as I said, if you've been on this before, you were here last year, it is one of the more rewarding experiences that I have gone through, and I plan on going through again, as far as the teaching aspect, because the reality is that everyone who comes to this and everyone who went last year, you are going to be the next wave of front office executives or coaches or scouts or salary cap experts out there. And for us to give back, this is the right opportunity.
Yeah, it's a joy. One thing that I like to do is meet with the students because, as Bobby's saying, if you are the future of the NBA world or the basketball world, and if we're here to get behind you, we need to get to know you. We can't just refer people to job positions or whatever because you took our program. It's not like, okay, someone paid a fee, we're going to endorse them when we don't know who they are. That's not how we've built our brand over the last 8-9 years. It's really about getting to know the students and building relationships that last longer than just the week. And I talk to students of the last few years all the time, some of them daily, whether it's on Discord or text or even in person. We build relationships. Part of that also is not on the schedule. I'll do office hours at night. Jeff Fellenzer will do office hours at night. That's where he's looking at your resumes, et cetera. This is usually at the hotel. We stay at the Virgin, and there's great space there to meet. So throughout, you'll have the opportunity to get to know our instructors. Like I said, it's not just sitting in an auditorium and not participating. We want people. We have to get to know who you are, and if you're introverted or shy, that's fine too. But you got to push yourself a little bit. But we'll definitely find times even to get to know the ones who maybe aren't the life of the party, which is not everyone. And so we really want to make sure that we identify who are the best candidates and how we can get behind them, et cetera. But yeah, let's go on to the next slide, Jackson. By the way, that was all subject to change. Bobby and I are still, because someone might, oh, if Adam Silver wants to come in at a certain time,
We're
we've
moving
done that before, right? Like we're going to bump somebody and move it around. So don't put that in stone. But this is just a note that Business Basketball Immersive Experience, which is the 13th through the 19th, less or fewer than 15 spots remain. So sign up at www.sportsbusinessclassroom.com. And so please sign up. Last year, we were literally at the number we were at this point, and we had such a great wait list that we expanded. So we're right about at 120, and we were at 135 last year, and we can't go more than 135. Last year, we did the tech. We got the floor plans. We're not going any higher. So please sign up if you're interested, because at some point we're going to have to say no to folks, and we don't just let everyone in. It has to be a quality applicant. It's not a fantasy camp. We're looking for people who are actively looking for opportunities in this industry, and it might be a second career. It's not gauged towards someone just out of college. It certainly is gauged for someone just out of college, but it is also gauged for students all the way in the 20s, 30s, 40s. We have some over 50 students. I don't think we have over 60. I think we have in the past, but over 50, we have a few as well. So don't be hesitant because it's not the right age group. There is no specific age group for this. So please sign up www.sportsbusinessclassroom.com if you're interested, because time will not wait and they will fill up rather quickly. All right, let's go on to the next slide. I think that is Q&A. So let's see here. So we do have some questions. I think Bobby's been answering them as I've been talking, but what do you think on this? Answer live. Anonymous is asking, didn't he get his philosophy from the Spurs? Do you think that's an accurate statement?
Well, I don't know if you got the philosophy. Certainly Sam interned there and certainly, was there. I would say he learned from RC Buford, definitely in Pop and the group that was there and everything like that. I think that, everybody has their own philosophy, and I think how rosters are built and how the vision of teams and how you go about doing a lot of it's circumstantial. certainly when Oklahoma City drafted Kevin Durant and James Harden and Russell Westbrook, that was a different way on how they built their roster. And then, Kevin goes to Golden State, and you go out and get Chris Paul and then Paul George, and you're basically just trying to kind of hang on and be competitive, and then you just shift gears. That's somewhat different than what San Antonio went through that terrific, I don't even know, 17, 18 years of going to the playoffs in a row.
Think about how they put that original team together with like Russ and Harden and KD and Ibaka. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. And then decided to, instead of paying James and having too much money on the books, they started to pivot and made a bunch of different moves, et cetera, et cetera. I got Adams. They were one of the higher spending teams, even though they're in a smaller market. So this was a team that used to be in the tax almost every year for a period of time. And now they've completely gone in a different direction. So I don't know if there's one singular pathway or philosophy. I don't think Sam would say that he got his philosophy directly from the Spurs. I would say that he learned from the Spurs, and he certainly got some of what he does from the Spurs, but I think he's also very prideful about being who he is individually. Bobby, there's someone who's asking here, let's see, which one was it? It's from, and I'll butcher the name, Sirkama Shah. Would like to know your personal journey, career for the both of us into basketball. Any advice you would give to someone who's going into a sophomore year majoring in computer science with dreams of working in a front office type role? What do you thought?
Well, I mean, listen, my journey is probably a lot different than a lot of people now, especially now in this day and age where but it kind of comes back to the fold of networking and meeting people. I started as an intern with the Nets in 1995. I got my internship through a friend of mine who lived in a house in Hoboken, New Jersey, and I got my resume to him, and he got it to the head of HR, and I was able to get an interview, and that got my foot in the door. And a lot of the journey is really about opportunity, whether it be working for a team or working, similar to my ability to go from working for a team to in the media was about opportunity, because I was I'd known Woj for a long time, and he was at Yahoo, and he gave me an opportunity to come in and work in the media side with Yahoo, and then certainly with ESPN, and the opportunity as far as to work with the Nets. And I say, network and meet people and go through that process is because the person who got me that interview was selling tickets at the time for the Nets in 1995. He was the guy calling you at 7:00 at home and saying, "Hey, would you want to buy a 6-pack to come see Shaq and Penny and all these great players?" And that person, his name was Scott O'Neill, and if you look up Scott O'Neill now, you'll see that he's the commissioner of LIV, the golf tour. So it's about networking and meeting people, and basically going through the process of once you get in, and the beauty is once you get in working for a team, and now it's up to you to go and figure out what you want to do and everything like that. And that's my journey. Listen, learning the CBA, and I didn't start that until 5 years after I was already with the Nets, because we didn't have anyone doing it. And that was in 2000. And we had no lawyers drafting contracts and everything. And I would say it's very different now. Sports, I think there's more opportunities, Eric. I think there's more people wanting to do it, and it's more publicized. There was no sports management major in 95. It was communications, if what you wanted to do here. But that's a little bit about my journey. I think the most important thing is for everyone, even if you think you want to do salary cap or athlete representation in scouting video analytics and media broadcasting, is don't pigeonhole yourself. Learn how everything works. And that's why when we do SBC, the blue sessions are for everyone, because we want people to learn how the salary cap works. We want people to know how to write an article. We want people to know how to, when Seth is up there talking about analytics and how to integrate that into whether it be writing an article or how you watch film, it's important that you know every kind of aspect of it. And I say this to everyone who's on here, and I continually will preach this: learn how to write, man. Like that's the biggest, like if I could tell my younger self that, I would say take writing more seriously when you're in college. So when you come out, you're more prepared for, ask someone to write a 1,000-word article on the Brooklyn Nets offseason article, which I can do, but 7 years ago I would have been like, oh my God, how do I do this? But that's the most important thing, is to learn how to write in this process, because everyone who will be at SBC or anyone who's going into the job world is going to have to write sometime or someday some type of proposal or an article or anything like that.
Well, thank you, Bobby. I'll just, I don't want to get, just for time, too in depth. Take the program, and when we have office hours, or maybe in one of the sessions, I'll talk a little bit more, other than to say that I came in through media broadcast, and eventually that led to a job with the LA Times, which then led to the job I have with Bleacher Report. And in 2016, I ended up supporting at the Sports Business Classroom, and then gradually the person who brought me in eventually basically retired, and I took over the spot. So that is, a very brief version of it. I agree with Bobby on the writing side. And my career has evolved where I work with the MBPA, not directly, but work helping folks pass the exam to become agents, and I've sort of expanded my area. Bobby and I are maybe a little more niche in that we have certain expertise, a very similar overlapping expertise. And so, to go back to the original question, this is from Sukarma, again, sorry if I got it wrong. If you're majoring in computer science, there's often a direct correlation to analytics at that point, where there's a level of coding where there's data coming in, and being able to parse that data into something meaningful, which kind of goes to what Bobby was saying, which is, can you tell a story, right? How do numbers translate into something digestible that a general manager can understand, or an owner of the team can understand? And so learning how to use computer science to, whether it's to build out coding of data, analytics, and analyzing it, or building out something that is a tool that can help a team better manage its front office. Those are certainly pathways forward. We can talk further in the future, but that's a great question. Let's keep going. I'll answer this one from Grace. Is it Jean or John? Jean, maybe it's French, maybe it's Jean. She asks, I assume she, or they rather, what separate expenses are students responsible for? So the main thing that you're responsible for is obviously the tuition, and then arriving in Vegas via plane, train, automobile, however you get there, you get there. From that point on, you have a hotel. You probably want to have maybe some extra spending money for some water when you're not with us. We have water available, obviously, during the program, but really, like, the expenses are minimal. The usual kind of stuff you would have when you travel is covered in terms of the hotel and the meals. But yeah, I mean, you may want a little bit of spending money to just for toiletry type stuff. There is a CVS or a Target really nearby our hotel. We'll put out probably some sort of FAQ, or maybe put that into our student guide to sort of advise folk some of the little, I don't want to say cheats, but workarounds, instead of having to maybe buy a case of water for $6-7. I don't know how much, it depends how big the case, but let's say you send $6, $7, $8 versus getting a bottle of water for $6, $7, $8 at a hotel. But you're generally covered. So I think you should be good there. Bobby, just for Sonia, just give a brief idea of what your office hours look like.
That is the best part of the program. I'm not bragging here, Eric. Here, office hours are at 7 a.m. We do it in the Red Room over at Thomas Mack. It's really doing like a live podcast, but you get to ask any question you want, and we're not tape recording it here. But listen, it's really like it's come over early, grab a cup of coffee, we'll sit around the table. A lot of it is based on what's going around in the league. I will ask or answer any question out there. I will give advice. We'll talk about the league. It's funny, last year, and Eric knows this, I walked down into the lobby at the Virgin where we stay, and there was like 50 people there, right? Like, I'm like, oh my God, how am we going to get everyone over there? And we did. And then by like Thursday, it was like 20, which is
Well,
fine. Listen, it's a long week, right? And but no, office hours are terrific. I really enjoy it. And it's really just one-on-one session. But it's listen, if you're not doing office hours, that's fine. Like, we make ourselves, we're there through that day. Like, for me, like, I think people last year were nervous. Like, it's like, whenever you sign up, like when I was younger, I went to the Patrick Ewing basketball camp, and Patrick Ewing showed up on Friday to sign autographs, right? And I'm like, where was he Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? And for me, like, I am in there. Like, this is like, unless there's breaking news on a trade or anything, like, this is my week. This is what this is what I'm committing to. And we certainly started at 7 a.m., but we go throughout the day, and not just office hour. You can come up to me anytime and we can talk. And that's the beauty of this program.
Yeah, Jeff Fellenzers are one-on-one, and they're usually in the evening at starting, I don't know, around 8 o'clock-ish or 9 o'clock or 7 o'clock. They vary depending on the day. And then usually I just mingle around the Virgin, and usually our teams are in groups at that point, and our agents are in groups, and I might talk with the group. Some students will want to pull me aside for a one-on-one as well. So we make ourselves available for that as best as possible. Edwin Valentin, again, if I'm getting the names wrong, apologies. I'll answer this one. When registering, what does basketball operations incorporate? I could be interested in both ops and CBA/salary. So we do ask upon registration what you're interested in. I think basketball operations is one of the questions, but the actual majors, as I mentioned earlier, the scouting video analytics and salary cap are subsets of basketball operations. They are within basketball operations. So we talk about basketball operations throughout our general sessions, and then our deep dives within those two particular majors. And so if your focus is more on the why of strategy in terms of player eval, strategy eval on the court, that is more scouting video analytics. If you're more focused on the how in terms of the CBA salary cap, you would want to choose the salary cap major. So you could check off basketball operations when they ask that, but that's not specifically a major because we really have that broken into two parts. So let's see here. Here's a question from Chima, and I want to say it's either Duca if the N is silent, or Induca. Again, I'm really terrible with these accents, or hopefully you can sign up and correct me in person. If I work at an agency already in sports, how beneficial is this program for someone already in the industry? Bobby spoke about not learning more about analytics until years after being with the Nets.
Well, I would say I'll answer the last part. The reason why I didn't learn more about analytics is because we didn't build out our department. We were one of the last teams basically to kind of catch on as far as the analytic wave, as far as how we incorporated that phase to coaching and basketball operations with that.
Well, I would say that last year we had 25 agents take the program. Now, we did not have an agent major, and when I saw that we had 25 agents, we basically improvised an agent major and gave them extra sessions. And then this year we formalized the major. Of those 25, only 5 were not certified yet. They still had to pass the exam. So we had 20 practicing agents, and they varied from some with big agencies to those just getting started with no clients and are just got certified, to those who had been certified for some time and had clients, et cetera. There's a wide range. And so what I would say is that we're having incredible practicing agents with clients who are still playing today, or I guess yesterday, in the finals, who will come and speak to us in our sessions. We're going to have people from the MBPA who are going to come and speak privately with our group. And then you're going to get hands-on practice in negotiation against the teams. and learn a lot about NIL, learn about so many aspects, and then also you're going to build out networking. So it's very common for folks who are in agencies, actual agencies, to just broaden their experience, broaden their knowledge base, and I highly recommend it. I'm happy to talk further, so reach out. But that is it is a lot. We had such a fun time last year building that major on the fly, and it's going to even be better this year because we have that experience. So Chris, answer live. Christopher Lee, he's asking. I know he signed up. Within deep dives for SBA, Scouting Video Analytics, will we be tagging, creating scouting reports through Synergy, Sports Code, or HDI? So I'll just answer to say that there's different challenges with a group of however many people we have to get everybody in front of a computer. So what we're doing is going over the storytelling aspects, going over some of it, and then we have Connor, who is our former student, who is now teaching. He's going to be available to meet privately with folks or in groups, small groups, to go over things like Synergy and Sports Code. I'm not as familiar with HDI. He would be. Again, Bobby and I are sort of experts, or whatever you want to call us, in our area. But we do really make sure that you get the knowledge of like what tech do you need to know, and then you're going to get exposed to it. So one of the things that will be in the deep dive for SVA, we'll be asking some students towards the end of that deep dive to actually get in front and do a scout and tell the story about the player. And that's going to involve some level of coding, sports tag, sports coding, Synergy, et cetera. So yes, it is a part of it. It's a good question. Anonymous attendee. Bobby, what do you think about business cards these days?
Do they even exist anymore, Eric? I haven't had a business card since 2012.
I haven't had one in a long time. Some people still give me.
Hey, I love a business card though. It's a lot easier than putting everyone's name and like you're kind of looking at your phone and everything.
Well, some will have like that, but they'll also have like a not a barcode, but like whatever, hashtag or something, whatever you call it, brain freeze, but that you can scan. You go to a restaurant and you scan the menu. That's what we have. Some people do on a business card. Honestly, it's not necessary. I would recommend LinkedIn, and we actually ask all of our students to sign up and give us their URL for their LinkedIn, and share it in the Discord, both for Bobby and myself and for our staff for tracking our students when it comes to relationships beyond. We want to make sure we don't lose track of you, and we can look you up and have that relationship. So most people use LinkedIn when it's like, hey, let's connect. I'm on LinkedIn. And then there's the next step, which is let's transfer numbers and whatnot. Usually I just put people into my phone or vice versa. Let's see. Francis Mondu, probably it's French. I'm probably screwing that up as well. Could you please provide the percentage of placements over the past few years? I don't know if I have a number, Bobby, but we've had a lot of success. I know we have a great result. Can you think of some students who are in jobs right off the top?
Well, I mean, there was a question on here before, Eric, and I answered it, and it was basically like, once the week is over, do we still have access, or do we still have can we still connect with you? And it kind of ties into that question. And I said, well, that's the beauty of it. Like, once the week's over, we don't just say like, well, have a nice life, everything. Like, whenever there's job opportunities, and I'll give you an example. There was a job opportunity at Priority Sports, and it's based on our contacts there. Ross Arroyo, is probably going to be helping us do one-on-ones and be involved in a program. When, like last year, sent us, both of us, a link and said, hey, we got an opening for a video coordinator. And then what we do is we make that available to everyone who comes through SBC. When there is an opportunity for, all of us, me and Eric have contacts with all the teams, and they say, hey, I'm looking for somebody in our analytics group. Do you have anyone that came through the program here? That's the beauty. That's what we live for. Like, when we get that, well, here's the 5 people that we would recommend. I remember last year, John Ziza, who was my intern and now works in referee operations. He came in and did one-on-ones, and he was like, man, this is amazing. And then a week later, he says, hey, we have this training program open. Please send this to your group as far as getting involved in the NBA and in operations. So that's when we're looking at this from the long game. it's not just about coming in for the week and then you go home and you are forgotten. You're part of the SBC family. So when there's opportunities available, we will certainly make that presentable for you.
Right. And we're not here and saying like, oh, let's say you're a Orlando Magic fan and you've lived, breathed Orlando Magic since the day you were born, and your only goal in coming to our program is to be GM of the Orlando Magic. We're probably going to try to guide you into opening your mind. So really, it's about your expectations and your goals. We really want to talk about college. We want to talk about NIL because there's a huge influx of people moving from the NBA to the college side because there's so many jobs, because they have a new salary cap system potentially. It's still, in somewhat of litigation. There's a whole new way of doing business. There's the WNBA is growing exponentially. There, so many aspects of the G League and whatnot. So we want to make sure that people open their minds to what jobs are out there and try to connect them. But we like Makar Gavorkian took our virtual program during the pandemic and is the salary cap guy for the Brooklyn Nets. Buddy Scott is with the Celtics in a great position. Lindsay Harding took our program. She's an assistant coach with the Lakers. Even Malik Rose took it, and he's he's one of the top executives with the G League with Sharif Abdul-Rahim. And then there's scouts. Funny story is, it's not funny, it's a wonderful story, is that Preston Klaus represented the Indiana Pacers in our mock deadline with Kyle Goodyear. Kyle Goodyear went on to create the ASU mock trade deadline, which he borrowed from us with our blessing. He brought me in to sort of help set that up and execute it on the strategic side of that. But Preston, after taking our program, got a position, I believe, with the Mavericks for a year. And then we helped him get over to the Pacers. So he went from representing the Pacers and winning best, they won that presentation, Kyle and Preston in that group. And now he's with them. And also Hirsch Gupta, again, I'm probably butchering the names. He's, I think, on the analytics side, also with the Pacers. So we have two former SBC students who are ring chasing right now that I'm rooting for. I'm not pulling for the Pacers because I also have friends over at OKC. I'm rooting for all of them. But if you need a list, Francis, I don't have a number, but we do have some documents that show for everything from G League GMs to people with teams to people Jeff Siegel started his own website after taking SBC, the salary track, and then Early Bird Rights was really impressive, and that led to a position with Clutch Sports where I bumped into him at Combine, and he's hanging out with Rich Paul and is one of Rich's primary advisors, at least on the cap side. So it's a long list. It's a wonderful fraternity, sorority. People have had success. It's really what you make of it and what we put into it. But we really put a lot of love into making sure our students are connected beyond this program. So Khurshid Ali, I know he's in our program. He's asking, are we given different teams? We're going to work with other people and try to work with one team. So let's just say that it's teams of 5, right? It may not be the exact number. Probably have 3 scouts and 2 cap, or 3 cap and 2 scouts on one team representing, for instance, the New York Knicks. Another group of 5 would represent the Miami Heat. Another group would be the Boston Celtics, et cetera. Go all the way through. We'll only assign about 20 teams just on time, and the remaining 10 will be represented in the mock deadline by alumni, former students who will represent them. And so that's on the team side. On the agent side, there'll be a draft. You'll each get 4 or 5 players through that process, and then there'll be a system for when a team says, hey, I need to talk to Buddy Hield's Buddy Hield's agent. I forgot to mention EJ Kuzner is also on our staff as well. He's an agent. He represents Buddy Hield. So he'll be working with our athlete representation groups. So maybe that's not a good example because he's actually his agent. But you may want to talk to the agent of a player. That will be done through a process as well. So that's in our mock deadline, mock trade deadline. Let's see here. What else do we have here? This is an interesting one. Anonymous, for a lawyer, what is the best way to get a chance in an NBA front office, Bobby?
Well, I mean, I think certainly if your niche is the salary cap, certainly if you're coming from a law background, is I mean, it just goes back to as far as figuring out what your specialty is, right? Like, what do you like? The one thing, and I've always say this is like when you are meeting with people and you are, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're, if you want to learn how the salary cap works, you have to be in a position where you're selling yourself, like what you're good at. Like what you're good at can't be hard work or working long hours. Like you have to have, whether you're, as I said, like if you're a lawyer and you want to learn how to salary cap, it's basically interpreting the rules and how that can impact teams because everybody is looking for loopholes, right? Like the league has done a really good job of closing the loopholes. But that would be my recommendation here is we live in a world now, there are so many teams that have strategy positions open. Peter Dinwiddie, who I've known forever and was with Indiana and in Philadelphia, just got hired in Atlanta as their senior vice president of analytics and strategy. Strategy that never existed 20 years ago. Nowadays, every team has 4 or 5 strategy. And strategy is whether it's analytics, whether it's salary cap, whether it's building rosters. I don't care if you're a lawyer or you went to your undergrad. Like that is kind of like the niche as far as the specialty, as far as how jobs or how front offices are now structured.
Yeah, I would also be open to everyone wants to be the GM or whatever, but like if you think about any corporation, especially in the NBA world, right? Each team is like its own corporation, and they have to hire a medical staff. They have to hire all of these people. There's also partnerships, there's sponsorship deals. You think about all the aspects, not just on the business basketball side, but there's a huge business side that involves lawyers that needs the expertise that you get from knowing how to write contracts and how to negotiate deals and all the tools that you have as a lawyer. So there are jobs that may not just be like starting as the GM, but can lead to opportunity. And we do have some folks who have started on the business side, and you kill it, be great at what you do, and they're not necessarily asking you at that point for basketball advice, but you build relationships and become an integral part of that organization. Then when there are opportunities, you start to find a way to transition over. And we've had plenty of people transition from the business side, including one of our speakers last year, Jason Hillman, who's with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he took in 2016, my first year, he took basically our deep dive for salary cap. And he was at that point on the business side with the Cavs, and now he's full on in the strategy side. So cool. Good question.
We have to, Eric, we got to wrap up because our Hall Pass Media Group are jumping on another webinar.
Okay, let me just make sure. I was just texted that we did have 2 signups during the program.
Oh, awesome.
So that during our webinar. So we have 15 spots. And like I said, it's a hard 15. It's like last year we were able to get up a little bit bigger. This year we're really going to have to stop at 15. So we really only have 13 spots now. We do have a few more questions I'll just throw out, and I know that everyone's got to go. If you want to be prepared for your SBA major, just make sure you're well rested and ready to get enough sleep so that you're ready to attack it. Go ahead and reach out to Bobby and us directly. We're going to put our names in the chat, but at the same time, we're going to turn off the Zoom in a second. So I'll drop it real quick. Just copy it quickly, because as soon as this is over, it'll go away. So that's my email address. You can
put mine in right now.
Bobby's going to put his in. So make sure you get that, because we did leave a handful or so unanswered. And we'd be happy to answer questions directly. Like I said, Bobby, this is the first time. Bobby's worked with the program for years, but this is the first time last year was the first time he was our lead instructor. And so pleased to see that he got what we're really about, which is being humble, getting to know people, being somebody who's approachable, and actually caring to get to know the students. And that's a really foundational tenet of what we're trying to accomplish here. So he will take the time to talk to you. I will take the time to talk to you, and not just to get you to sign up. Like during the program and even beyond, we're people who really take this seriously and build relationships with our students and learn from them. I think just about as much as hopefully we teach. But yeah, I think we have to run. So Bobby, any last thoughts before we wrap?
No, I would just say if anybody has any questions and you were not able to get it and you're curious about the program, or even if it's not about this year, it's about next year, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to have a conversation with you.
All right, thank you so much. And make sure you copy down the emails, reach out. We have 13 spots left, and I hope to see you in Las Vegas.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.